All right, we are back, and I am hoping that this time I have got it. So we are live here, and I'm going to go to my music here, and we're going to kick this sucker off right off the bat. There we go, and boom. Welcome to Kidmin Talk 218. The title's Rest is Best. And we are hoping that I did it correctly this time with the volume. All right. So I'm going to go back to my page here and I'm going to see if it looks like it is live here. And I'm going to delete. Um, the last one that did not work well, and I'll fix the YouTube and the Rumble later. But hopefully I've got it this time. So let me see here. It says that Karl is live right now up on my profile, and I'm going to hit the little play button here. Forgive me for having to test this, but I just want to make sure that I did it right this time. There it is. All right. We're going to figure this sucker out because it's pretty cool. And we're going to be diving in to the Kidmin Covenant book, number 11, which is something that we've been going through. This will be the 11th and the one before the last on this podcast. So thanks for joining me. Thank you, those of you who might be reconnecting, because I totally goofed up the first time on the volume. So there we go. We even had our cool intro music. So I'm going to switch here to just boring old me. And there we go. Man, oh man, you got to love technology, don't you? But thank you for coming and hanging out with me a little bit. We're going to go through Kidmin Covenant number 11. Plus, I've got some other things that I'm excited to share with you. But before I do that, I just want to remind you to check out the National Center for Biblical Parenting. You just go to biblicalparenting.org. They've got something really cool right now called First Steps in Biblical Parenting. These are short videos that, as a kids pastor, you can purchase super affordably, and then you can put them in a Facebook group. You can email them to your parents just as a way to encourage them in their parenting and to equip them. And so definitely you want to jump over there and check that out. Scott Taransky and Joanne Miller are just a wonderful team that have created some amazing resources to help you as a parent, but as a leader to help you equip and encourage the parents in your ministry. Hey, well, so thanks for joining me today. We've been going through the Kidmin Covenant. It's a book that you can check out at kidology.org/Kidmin Covenant. There's an article for each of them there, but then I expanded it into a reflective journal that you can buy. So as you go through these, you answer some questions, you do some journaling privately, and you work on those. And I got to tell you, this has been very timely for me. If you follow me on Facebook, you know that I'm in the middle of a ministry transition that I didn't see coming. And so I'm getting to live out many of these things. The Kidmin Covenant are 12 commitments that I'm challenging you and myself to make before the Lord in order to pursue our ministry in a healthy way. And I just want to review those because we haven't been on the show for a little while. And each of these are a great reminder. And if one of these just kind of pokes you a little bit in your spirit and you know, man, that's something I need to work on, then go back and listen to that podcast at KIDMINTALK.com and we'll dive into it a little closer. But I'm just going to do the bird's eye view at the top. Number one, I will start each day in prayer. First for my own walk with God, and then for my family, and then for my ministry. Sometimes we get so ministry focused that we forget that we really need to be praying first and foremost for ourselves and our family, then our ministry. Number two, I'll be in the Word daily, first to grow spiritually, then to grow in biblical knowledge for teaching others. Again, we've got to prioritize our spiritual health, not just treat the Bible as a textbook that we're trying to teach. Number three, I will submit my daily plans to the Lord, seeking His priorities before mine so that I can remain intentional. Every day is a gift from God. Every time we wake up and we have the blessing to do what we do again, it's a blessing. And so we have to be intentional about that. And I'm going to take a rabbit trail here and just let you know, I just released the next masterclass on kidology, or on my coaching club site, and it's called Proactive Ministry. For 2 months, we're going to take a slow pace and we're going to journey through what does it mean to be an intentional leader. There are training videos, there are live coaching calls as a group. And if you're a member of the club, you are entitled to a free or discounted one-on-one coaching call. And so I encourage you to check that out. You can just go to karlbastian.club and you'll find that there. Number 5, I will teach from and with a Bible so my students know and they see the source of my teaching. We're not teaching from our great wisdom and our great knowledge and experience. We're teaching from the Word of God, and that needs to be obvious to the kids, because after we're gone, the Bible is what they will have for the rest of their life. In fact, I just posted on YouTube and my Facebook page my last lesson that I taught at High Point Church a couple of weeks ago. The kids didn't know it was my last Sunday yet. The leadership didn't want them to know that soon. So I taught on the Bible and how I even said teachers come and go, but the Word of God never leaves. And it was a lesson, really a fun lesson, but all about the importance of the Bible. And that's something we have to remember. We are the messenger. We are not the message. Number 6, I'll be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. And yes, that's right from Scripture. So that is right in the book of James. And boy, I always want to go off on that, but I already did. So you can go back and listen to that. Number 7, I will maintain a teachable spirit and always be eager to learn, to grow, and to invite correction and suggestions. You know, the mark of a truly good leader and really the secret to success in ministry is not being the smartest. It's not being the most talented. It's remaining teachable. I've seen so many leaders, even great leaders, even lead pastors, who sabotage their ministry and their leadership because simply they were not teachable. Nothing to do with their talent, their ability, their knowledge, but not maintaining a teachable spirit. That is the one trait. In fact, I know I'm rabbit trailing, but my youth pastor always said, be fat, faithful, available, and teachable. All right, you can go back and listen to that podcast. I just love that one. All right, and then number 8, this is a big one, okay? I'll be quick to overlook an offense and even quicker to forgive. And let me just say, man, hurts come in this world. We live in a broken world. The wounds that hurt the most are the ones that we don't see coming or that come from a surprising source. And sadly, I know so many leaders and friends that are still stuck in that hurt. And long after the offender isn't even thinking about them and again, they've moved on. They're going to hurt others. They're still lingering in that hurt. The secret is not to fix them. It's not that God will smite them. It is that we be quick to overlook those offenses, assuming the best, realizing they're a sinner, we're a sinner. They're covered by the same blood of Jesus, the same cross that we are, and we've got to forgive. Forgive does not mean excuse. Forgive does not mean justify. Forgive does not mean to make excuses. No, it means I'm releasing the responsibility for what happened. I'm giving that to God, and I'm moving forward in the knowledge that I also have been forgiven. Maybe not for something quite as bad, but I've been forgiving, and it's freeing. All right, and again, go back and listen to that podcast if you're struggling with that. All right, number 9, I'll do everything that I'm doing as though I'm doing it for the Lord because I am. Everything we do is for the Lord, and that should be reflected in the quality of what we do, the intentionality. That's why I encourage you to join me on the proactive leadership coaching journey that I'll be doing with some of you, because it will truly help you to be a proactive leader because you're doing it for the Lord. All right, number 10. We're almost caught up to today. I will pass on any praise that I receive to those who helped, inspired, guided, or assisted, and ultimately to Jesus. This is not about us. This is about the Lord. This is about who we're serving, why we're serving. And so we got to make sure that we don't get puffed up or start thinking we're the bomb because of all these wonderful things we do. Because everything we do, it's for the Lord. And that's why even the ministry change that I'm in, as much as I don't like it or sad or hurt or whatever, all of that, I can set that all aside and say, because ultimately my agent is Jesus. He's who places me, calls me, equips me, and sends me to wherever he wants to go. And when you relinquish that control and you just say, God, here's my life with my hands up, open, take me, use me, then we don't have to worry. Proverbs 16:9 says, in his heart, a man plans his life, right? But the Lord directs his step. And Romans 8:28 says he'll work all things together for good to those who love him and are called according to his purpose. I definitely love God. I definitely feel called. So I know God works all things together for good, and he'll do the same for you. So let's dive into number 11. All right. You guys have been with me on this journey for quite a while. We've been going through this. And because my life circumstances have changed, I'm hoping to be able to do this more often and have the freedom to do that. So mark this time on your calendar, because my plan is every Monday at 11 a.m. my time, and then you can figure out the time zones. We're going to get together and we're going to talk about children's ministry. We're going to talk about life. I'm going to share funny stories. I'm going to let you know some great things in the world of kids ministry if you're a children's pastor. But let's dive into Kidmin Covenant number 11. Here it is. Are you ready? I will honor rest as a gift from God, not as an afterthought, because rest is part of faithfulness. And that's one reason I'm thankful for a time of transition, because I have some overdue rest that I need to do. And it's okay, because when we love what we do, we're motivated. I remember a pastor saying, I have all of eternity to rest. I'm going to go into heaven skidding. And I remember when I thought, oh, I like that guy. Now I'm like, that dude's not healthy. All right. We need rest. All right. It's one of the commandments that God gave us back in Exodus chapter 20. All right. Remember the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. On it you shall not do any work. Now, what about us in ministry? Like, we're working our tails off on the Lord's day, right? And so we have to find another time, another day that we rest, that we take a break, that we do other things. And so it's important. Mark 6:31, Jesus told his disciples one time, come with me by yourselves to a quiet place and get some rest. Jesus made sure that his disciples, his team, got rest. And we need to do the same thing. You know, we plan training events for our volunteers. We plan fun events for our volunteers. Think about planning some rest, some just real down times with your volunteers. In a little bit, I'm going to be telling you about Yosemite Summit, something I do every year for men in ministry. And we go to Yosemite and we experience some rest. But I'll get to that in a little bit. I also want to share with you Matthew 11:28. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Does that sound like kids ministry? Weary and burdened. Oh my goodness. Kids ministry is one of the hardest ministries in the church. I never say it's the most important, because every ministry is important. But I do think kids ministry is genuinely and sincerely one of the hardest. You not only have your flock of kids, you've got your flock of volunteers, you've got the parents, you've got the leadership. There are so many arenas of ministry that you have to focus on, and there's so much detail. I sometimes envy the lead pastor and most youth pastors, because, man, their prop is their Bible. Like, they get up there and just talk. Now, I love when lead pastors use props. I've seen that in my churches. Some youth pastors do a little better than just preaching from a Bible. But, man, we've got puppets, and we've got crafts, and we've got snacks, and we've got object lessons, and we've got, games that take all kinds of printing and setting up and everything. And it's a totally different animal. And again, we do it for the Lord, but man, it can be wearisome, and it can feel like a burden. And so what we need, and there goes my drink, and what we need is rest. Rest is not being lazy, all right? It's being obedient. We have to find the downtime. And rest is not just sleep. All right. Sleep's great. I used to joke, and I still joke, that my life verse is Proverbs 6:9. Allow no sleep to your eyes, no slumber to your eyelids. But that's not really my life verse. We need that downtime. I get my downtime taking a walk, hiking. I love flying my drone. And there's things that we can do that aren't work related, that aren't performance related. And that's what we need to do. So, number 11, I will honor rest as a gift from God, not as an afterthought, because rest is part of faithfulness. Do you remember when Jesus said that he was going to get up early in the morning while it was still dark, the Bible says, just to make us feel guilty, and go off and find a solitary place to pray? I mean, if Jesus, God, the Son of God, he needed to get up and just get away to a solitary place to pray, I think we need to do the same thing. All right. It's so important. That passage in Matthew 11, after he says, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, I'll give you rest. It goes on to say, for my yoke is easy and my burden is light. If you go to kidology.org/yoke, there's a whole article there. If you're at the breaking point, if you're stressed out, I would encourage you to go read that article. I wrote it many years ago. And the point of it is that if your yoke is too heavy and you're feeling stressed out constantly, and like you're never finishing everything, and it's robbing you of your joy of ministry, sometimes you got to take a hard look at your yoke, because it may be that God is not asking you to do everything that you're doing, that you have taken on a yoke that is not even of God. Remember, his yoke is easy. Because I remember reading this a long time ago and going, okay, Jesus obviously never been a children's pastor, all right? Because my yoke is not easy and my burden is not light. And kind of heard him say back to me, yeah, my yoke is easy. My yoke is light. The yokes that you put on yourself, I'm not responsible for that. So it's so important. Years ago, I reached a point of complete burnout in ministry. Things in my life were breaking, and I had taken a sabbatical during that ministry gave me a sabbatical. Wonderful. So few churches do that, but I was an idiot. I took that sabbatical, and some of you longtime Kidology fans, you'll remember this. I did this planes, trains, and automobiles tour of the country. I got 6 weeks off my church, so I ramped up Kidology. I didn't sabbat. I worked. And yes, we had some wonderful, fun, relaxing things that we did on our sabbatical. But I was visiting churches. I was visiting ministry leaders. I was blogging on the road. And this was when I had a Palm Pilot that I hacked to get online. So I had mobile internet before that was a thing. Like phones didn't even have it. I had a Palm Pilot that I figured out how to make it a hotspot so that I could blog on the road. It was crazy. But one of the things I did on that trip that I'm so thankful for is I went back to Yosemite National Park. Now, I had not been there since I was a kid. My family went there on vacation once, and I remembered being so blown away by just the majesty of that place, the cliffs and the waterfalls and the wildlife, and even had a bear encounter, but that's a story for another time. It's a funny story. I love telling the kids about my bear attack when I was a kid in Yosemite. You'll have to hear that another time. I have told it before, but I was actually nervous to go back because I thought maybe I had blown this place up in my head bigger than it actually was. I mean, all national parks are beautiful, but I had this just image of this incredible place. So I was nervous I would go back as an adult and be like, nah, it's nice, but it's not what I remembered. But I went and I was blown away again. But on my sabbatical, we planned basically a one-day trip. Didn't have time for any long hikes or anything. But I did one trip. I went up to the lower Vernal Falls hike by myself, and I hoofed it. My wife was relaxing and enjoying the gift shop or something, and let me go on this quick solo hike. And I was huffing and puffing up this trail just to see one of the waterfalls for myself that wasn't visible from the valley. And we got back, and it was a tease. All right. I wished I had planned like a week there to just really soak it in and enjoy it. Well, fast forward a little bit. I get to the future. Months later, And I'm in my new church that I'm just attending. I took a break from pastoral ministry. And the sermon series when I walked in was Out of Control. I was like, okay, who conspired to have Out of Control as a sermon style? And it was like, this was a big church. It was a big screen. I came in out of control, but I had a TV remote. Well, I go through this in more detail in my leadership lab, First Things First, which is available on Kidology. You can check it out. But he went through the buttons of a remote, and stop was the Sabbath. The fast forward was living with the future in mind. I had no problem with vision. I had too much vision. That button was stuck. Rewind was dealing with the past. Pause was reflection. But the one that killed me was the recreation button, the play button. Because up to that point, I had defined play as fun. Like play is what you do when you're having fun, all right? But he said it in a different way. He said, the play button is recreation, all right? Not recreation. We think of recreation, driving ATVs, going out, playing disc golf or whatever, which I love, by the way. But he said recreation. And he asked the question, what recreates you? Well, we were sitting there in church, hurting from ministry time, healing. We had a little baby Luke with us. Some of you remember baby Luke and how he entered our life on April Fool's Day. And I leaned over to my wife and I said, what would recreate me would be to go back to Yosemite unrushed, like for a week. And she was like, ain't happening. I mean, we had a baby. We had a lot of life change going on and healing going on. And so I kind of dropped it. And then every now and then I would bring it up again. I'd say, hey, Sarah, I'm thinking about going to Yosemite for a week. And she would just kind of say no. And so I started to get a little irritated. And so finally I said, hey, I keep bringing this up and you're just kind of shooting it down. Well, as often happens, wives have good reasons for shooting ideas down. She's like, Karl, I know you. You're going to be up there taking some crazy picture, with your camera, and you're going to fall off a cliff. And that'll be the end of you. So I said, oh, that's fair. That's legit and probably true. So I said, what if I go with a friend? So she said, great. If you get a friend to go with you. I start calling up all my friends. Some of you watching maybe on the list that I called. But one by one, they told me, Karl, I can't take a week to go hike it in Yosemite. I only get X number of weeks of vacation a year. I need to spend that with my family. And but then one of my friends, and to this day, I don't remember who it was. I wish I did. If you're watching this, say that was me. I'll believe you. But he jokingly said, and it was mutual, what if he goes, Karl, you do these kidology conferences. We used to do KidU and other science of kidology and different seminars. He said, just make it a conference and just make a brochure and a website. So we were joking about this scam we were going to do on Lead Pastors, where a bunch of guys were going to go on a conference and but then there wouldn't actually be a conference. Well, obviously that's dishonest and I wouldn't do anything dishonest. So that's why it was a joke, but I couldn't get it out of my head. And finally, one day I thought, well, what if I just remove the dishonesty? So I registered YosemiteSummit.org and I put on the homepage, see if I can get this right. Oh, I think I have the website open here. No workshops, just worship. No, I'm seeing if it's right on the homepage. I don't see it. Might be on the About page. No workshops, just worship. No resources, just relationships. No working, just God working. All right. And it was pretty awesome. And let's see if I'm clicking around here on the website, see if I can find it. Now it's in there somewhere, but I just don't want to take time while I'm live to look for it. So I took a step of faith. I rented a lodge and I put it out there and I filled it. In fact, I filled it with 8 guys. I think it was 9 guys the first year. We've done now a lot of these, over 25, I think. And well, I've been there over 25 times. I forget how many summits. In fact, I can click here and see 2008, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then 19, 12, 13. Yeah, I've done about 15 of these. Over 50 guys have gone with me. And what we do, and by the way, I'm doing it again this May. I do it every May. Guys, sorry, my wife won't let me go to a cabin in the woods with a bunch of women. So it's just for men. Women got to find your own way. But We unplug, and we completely don't do any work. I even tell them they're fired at the beginning. They're not a kids pastor. I just don't tell their boss because we'll rehire you at the end. But I say, you're not even to pray about your ministry. You're to just pray for yourself, your spouse, if you're married, your kids, if you've got any. And it's a wonderful week. So guys, I only have a few openings left for this year because I have a lot of guys that come back, not every year, but come back multiple times. Some guys have been on the 4 or 5 times. And it's just an incredible time. It's the unconference for men in ministry. And so I would encourage you to check it out. But the point is not Yosemite Summit. The point is you need to intentionally build into your life something that will recreate you. You need that rest. Yes, we need it on a weekly basis, but there are seasons that's honestly really challenging. You may not even get a whole day, but you can take an afternoon, or you can take a morning, or you can take an evening, and just make sure you build that rest into your life, right? And one of the best ways to do that is through intentionally planning, learning how to manage your time. People often ask me, how do you do so much with kidology and your church ministry and family and stuff? And a lot of it is learning practical secrets. We went through that. It's still available on Kidology, the Conquering the Calendar masterclass that I did last December. You can still get it. You can still watch the videos and the training. And that was an incredible time. I love sharing those time management secrets for how to get more done with less time. And a lot of it comes down to being intentional. And that's what this proactive leadership process is going to be about. So I encourage you to check it out, register for it. If you're a master builder on Kidology, which is our top tier membership now for Kidology, it's free. All the webinars are free because you're supporting our ministry. And then the more affordable Toolbox membership, you get half off everything. So you end up paying like $25 for a 2-month journey of learning how to do ministry in a proactive and healthy way. And so I invite you to take advantage of that. Hey, I do want to throw out a quick shout out to KidCheck. If you don't have secure check-in in your ministry, or there's some things about it you don't like, or you're doing it manually, please do check out kidcheck.org. They're more than just background checks now. They have and check-in system. They've got scheduling now. They've got custom stuff for youth ministry, and I definitely want you to check them out and take advantage of that amazing resource for your ministry. Having them up your sleeve is so important. So I want to look through some of the comments here as we wrap it up and see if I can respond to some of these live right on it. All right. So, someone says they hope that this can be every Monday, and it will. And I'm going to get better at this technical stuff. Some of you were part of the first one where I messed up the audio. All right, let's see. Agree on all points 100%, Christy says. I second Michael. I hope this becomes an every Monday thing. Awesome. Cool. That's the plan. All right. Let's see. I'm going to read from Michael here. I think it's also interesting that after God made man, the next exact day was the day of rest. Almost like our first lesson. We typically think of rest last. Oh, I love that. That's really true. And notice that God set the example where it says God rested. If anyone doesn't need rest, hello, it's God. And yet God, after 7 days or 7 eras, if that's, your theological bent, but the point is he rested. He took a break. And you know what he did? Because he wasn't tired. He said he looked at what he had done and he said it was good, right? And that's also what we can do, right? Not in a prideful way, but we can stop and go, instead of just go and doing amazing things. Oh, we did a Nerf Wars. Oh, we did a this, we did a that. Just to take a break and go, man, that was a good event. That's one reason I make highlight videos. I've been posting high point flashbacks on my Facebook page. I've been just enjoying during my season of rest right now to go back and just to celebrate and enjoy the things that I got to do during that ministry, my longest ministry, over 8 years. It was going on 9 years, and so many great memories. And just to go back and to see the faces of young kids who now are in youth group, All right. I haven't quite got to the age where I have kids getting married now. Actually, I have. If you go back to early ministries, I do have kids that are married with children. But to just reflect on those things and say, this was good. That was good. God used that. I got to be a part of this. Not like what I did. It's what I got to be a part of. It's what God used me to do. And the investment of those things is so worth it. If you're like, I can't make highlight videos, please go to kidology.org/highlight videos. All right. I have a whole training there on how to do it because I got tips and tricks. I can throw a bunch of pictures here in my phone and it whips out a video. I've got a website that I use that you just throw it all in there and it whips it out. And if you don't like it, you just move a few things around and you just hit the button again and it whips it out. And that's how I did that video from my last Sunday with pictures of me hugging the kids. And I threw in a bunch of old pictures. And honestly, I that video I spent a little more time on, but I'll set a time limit. Like I got 30 minutes to make a highlight video. That's it. Because I used to manually spend hours on a video and then it gets 100 views because it's just the volunteers or parents in your church who may watch it. And so it's not worth tons of time. You got to have a stewardship of your time, which is why we're going to talk about proactive ministry. So I want to check here, make sure I'm not forgetting anything. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to check the YouTube and I'm going to see if there are any comments on YouTube. I know Facebook tends to be my highest engaged thing, but let's see here. View channel and live, and there it is. And there's no comments there, so that's fine, just on Facebook. So I'm going to be fancy here. I'm going to go to my music. I'm going to play the outgoing music. There we go. So thanks for joining me here for Kidmin Talk number 218. Rest is best. If you don't have a copy of the Kidmin Covenant book, I would encourage you to go to kidology.org/Kidmin Covenant. I think Kidmin Covenant book will actually pull that up. It's a reflective journal that goes through all 12 of these covenants and gives you a chance to kind of reflect on them, to digest them. They're expanded from the articles that are on the website because I know it will make a huge difference in your life. The feedback I've gotten from people's been super encouraging. And then please go to karlbastian.club/proactive and join me on this journey over the next 2 months through coaching calls and videos so that you can thrive and be proactive in your ministry. All right, thanks for joining me. I'll see you next Monday, and I'm going to hit this end stream button.